know that it's actually not a very good idea. It's a look before you leap situation, isn't it?
I think very much so. But unfortunately, that's not...
The royal family for the 2027 Invictus Games, which could see a long-awaited reunion for the Duke of Sussex and his family. It's been reported that Prince Harry...
A shockwave of scandal just tore through the royal world, and the tremors are shaking everything in sight. This isn't another celebrity rumour, fashion headline or Hollywood stunt. No, this is far more serious.
But there's something compelling about hearing all this nastiness between, you just want to know, you want to hear about it. You can't believe it. You can't believe what he's saying. You can't believe the lies he's telling. And you're fascinated by it.
Something that could unravel the very structure of the monarchy itself. And this time, it's not about Netflix deals, designer wardrobes, or Meghan's latest Hollywood power move. Forget the glitz and glamour, the red carpet flexes, the Instagram perfect image.
So I don't know what on earth she's talking about. And also the fact that they couldn't wait another day and have it on Sunday rather than...
This story hits straight at the heart of bloodline, legacy, and centuries of royal tradition that the crown cannot survive without. Explosive new evidence is now coming to light. Evidence so radioactive it could erase everything Harry and Meghan have carefully built around their children. And standing at the centre of this bombshell is none other than Angela Levin. Angela Levin, the veteran royal biographer, known for her razor-sharp insight and fearless commentary, went live on national television and delivered a revelation so incendiary.
Italy continued to do that without any gratitude. There was no gratitude. Meghan wouldn't be known for anything if she hadn't...
It sent shockwaves from Buckingham Palace all the way to the gilded gates of Montecito. She didn't stutter. She didn't hedge. She didn't lace her words with the usual sugary deference the press often uses when handling the Sussexes. She went in scalpels out, naming truths millions had quietly suspected but never dared to speak aloud. The questions she raised weren't trivial. There may be serious, unresolved questions about Archie and Lilibet's legitimacy, questions that Harry and Meghan have fought tooth and nail to bury. For a family that survives on image, bloodline and ceremony, those three words are dangerous enough to cause tremors throughout the royal world. And this isn't just gossip. This isn't about Meghan snubbing Kate at the coronation or which designer she wore to a red carpet. No, this is about blood, about lineage, about the sacred chain connecting centuries of monarchs. The unbroken lifeline the crown cannot endure without. Angela's calm, precise, cutting delivery made her revelation even more devastating. She didn't scream. She didn't dramatise. She simply asked what nobody else had dared to ask. Why have Harry and Meghan never once followed a single traditional royal birth protocol? Why were there no public hospital steps photos like every other royal mother?
To real-life working mums. Those women out there who sacrifice it all, day in, day out, against all the odds. Women.
Why were there no signed medical bulletins from attending physicians as protocol demands? No transparent timelines, no official witnesses, no clear chain of evidence confirming these royal births took place according to the palace's insistence. Instead, the public received grainy, heavily controlled photos where baby bumps seemed to appear and vanish like props in a movie set. Conflicting birth locations, timelines that shifted like quicksand, and silence. So loud it echoed through centuries of royal tradition, making Levin's phrasing feel surgical and devastating. Every royal birth in modern history has been meticulously documented, and yet, for the first time, that transparency disappeared. Why? That piercing question cut through PR spin like sunlight slicing through thick fog. The studio went silent. Social media, on the other hand, detonated. And how did Harry react? Like a soldier. Like the cool-headed prince the world once adored. But this time, he went absolutely nuclear. Instead of calmly providing the one piece of evidence that could end the whispers forever, medical records, hospital documentation, anything, Harry did what he now seems to do best. He threatened to sue. Instant, feral rage. Sources say that within hours of Levin's broadcast, his legal team had drafted multiple cease and desist letters alleging defamation and harassment, threatening immediate legal recourse. But here's the brutal irony. Legal threats don't kill rumours. They fuel them. The moment Harry's lawyers entered the picture, public opinion didn't tilt towards sympathy. It tilted towards suspicion. People didn't think Harry was simply defending his family. They thought, what is he trying so hard to hide? Because when someone has nothing to hide, they provide proof. They don't hide behind lawyers. And proof is precisely the thing Harry and Meghan have refused to provide for 5 long years. Meanwhile, Meghan, the self-proclaimed warrior queen, was nowhere to be seen. While Harry thrashed like a cornered animal, she stayed silent, distant, and calculating. She let him absorb the bullets while she observed from the shadows, seemingly watching to see how much damage he would take before deciding whether to step in. This wasn't partnership. This was abandonment. For years, Meghan has been the strategist and Harry the foot soldier. But now the battlefield is legal, brutal.
Of today's video. So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019. And this was surrounded by controversy, largely to the unconventional decisions Prince Harry and
soaked in centuries of royal protocol. Harry looks hopelessly outmatched. He doesn't appear as the calm protector of his children's dignity. He comes across as a panicked celebrity, desperate to bury something that refuses to stay buried. Public scrutiny is relentless, and every misstep is amplified. Even royal insiders who once shielded him are muttering the same thing. If there's nothing to hide, why won't they just prove it? Because here's the truth Montecito doesn't seem to grasp. The monarchy is not a lifestyle brand. It is not a Netflix franchise. It is not a curated Instagram grid. It is a constitutional institution built entirely on legitimacy, on absolute certainty of bloodline. If that certainty cracks, even slightly, the whole structure trembles. That's why, as Levan pointed out, royal births have always followed rigid procedures, witness deliveries, documented medical bulletins, immediate announcements from the palace press office, and photographs showing mother and child leaving the hospital. Meghan skipped all of it, every single step. She treated centuries of royal duty as outdated guidelines to modernise or ignore. And at first, the public gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she wanted privacy. Maybe she was anxious. Maybe the press was too harsh. But privacy doesn't mean vanishing every scrap of evidence. Privacy doesn't mean conflicting statements, secret christenings.
They're focused on healthcare for women and children. Other royals have been born at
missing birth certificates and photo ops that resemble glossy magazine shoots rather than historic royal moments. Privacy doesn't look like this. Secrecy does, and secrecy breeds suspicion. Thanks to Angela Levin's bombshell, those suspicions are no longer whispers in dark corners of the internet. They've exploded into the mainstream. Constitutional lawyers are reportedly debating whether, if surrogacy or adoption were involved, Archie and Lilibet could even remain in the line of succession. Let that sink in. This is not gossip magazines anymore. This is constitutional crisis territory. If their births weren't properly documented, if the palace can't prove with legal certainty that they are biological children of Harry, specifically born of Meghan, as required by royal succession law, then their place in the sacred line could vanish like smoke. And that's why Harry is in meltdown mode. All the Netflix contracts, brand deals, and podcast streams in the world don't matter if the Crown quietly decides his children aren't truly part of the royal bloodline. That's why his rage is wild, unhinged. He's not just fighting for his family, he's fighting for his entire identity. Every lawsuit threat, every red-faced outburst only makes him look guiltier. The more he fights, the more he confirms the suspicion Angela Levin dared to say out loud. Maybe the Sussex fairy tale was a lie, and she delivered this all with that signature calm, grandmotherly smile plastered on her face. Angela is brutal. In one segment, she leaned forward, locked eyes with the camera, and dropped the name of the law firm quietly handling Harry's secret legal crusade. Viewers could practically hear collective gasps echoing through British living rooms within minutes.
Confused. Shortly before 2 p.m. yesterday, Buckingham Palace announced that Meghan had gone into labour. Then, 40 minutes later, confirmed the baby's arrival.
Social media lit up like a Christmas tree. Hashtags like hashtag Harry lawsuit, hashtag scandal, and hashtag Angela exposes exploded. Harry shot up the trending list as clips of Levin's words were shared thousands of times. One viral clip even slowed the footage frame by frame to highlight Angela's micro smirk when she said he was trying to rewrite the narrative through the courts again. Then it got truly explosive. Angela claimed the lawsuit wasn't just a minor defamation case. Allegedly, Harry is trying to suppress internal communications that could, in her words, fundamentally challenge his version of history. That statement sent shockwaves across the royal watching world. If true, Harry isn't just suing for reputation, he's trying to bury something. The mere idea of a royal attempting to cover up secret evidence sends tabloids into a feeding frenzy like sharks smelling blood. Almost instantly, palace insiders began whispering to reporters. The tone was unmistakably icy. One unnamed source reportedly told The Telegraph, "It's extraordinary. He spent years demanding transparency, and now he's allegedly doing the opposite when it suits him." Another insider reportedly called it a desperate bid to erase the past. While this PR inferno roared across Britain, Harry was said to be pacing the halls of his Montecito mansion like a man possessed. Meghan, according to a friend, was frantically on the phone with their legal team, trying to see if Angela could be forced to retract her statement before it metastasized into front-page chaos. But here's the problem. They couldn't. Angela hadn't technically broken any confidentiality laws. She hadn't leaked documents. She simply described what she claimed to know from her long-standing royal sources. Legally, Harry cannot sue her without risking that lawsuit becoming the doorway through which secret documents could go public. It's a legal trapdoor, and Harry seems to have walked right over it with his eyes closed. By the following morning, even American media had picked up the story. The tone was brutal. One commentator on Good Morning America snarked that Harry seemed to be suing everyone while looking guilty of everything. The royal media storm reached a new level of chaos when a UK morning host cracked a brutal joke that Harry might have to start a GoFundMe just to support his endless legal battles. It was the kind of biting, mocking coverage that doesn't just entertain, it pierces where it hurts most, his carefully constructed image as the wronged but dignified prince. And while the jabs rained down, Angela Levin didn't flinch. She doubled down, turning up the heat instead of retreating from the backlash. Levin appeared in a follow-up interview on GB News, her tone calm but lethal, and delivered the line that instantly set the internet on fire. If Harry thinks suing everyone will silence the truth, he's mistaken. It only makes people wonder what he's trying to hide. That quote detonated the narrative entirely, flipping the story from Harry as the victim of intrusive press to Harry as a power-hungry figure attempting to muzzle the truth. And it was the exact storyline that had quietly haunted him for years. The secrets he had fought so hard to bury were now splashed across screens and social feeds worldwide. Even worse, legal analysts began warning that if Harry really was pursuing a secret lawsuit, Levin's revelation could boomerang, forcing courts to open filings that were meant to remain hidden. Suddenly, what Harry allegedly wanted buried might explode across the front pages. Then came the ultimate humiliation. One of Harry's supposed allies, someone often friendly with the press, turned on him. Speaking anonymously to The Times, they said Harry's legal obsession was eating him alive and that every new lawsuit only made him less credible. That betrayal cut deep. When leaks come from inside your own camp, that's when the ship is really taking on water. Sources report that Harry reportedly exploded when he read the article. He allegedly accused several close friends of feeding Levin information and even threatened to sever ties with anyone who didn't publicly defend him. Meghan, according to sources, begged him to stay calm, warning that every furious outburst fueled Levin's portrayal of him as unstable. But Harry wasn't listening. He was already drafting angry statements to be pushed through their PR team, ironically ensuring that each word only drew more attention to Levin's claims. Meanwhile, Angela basked in the spotlight with the serenity of someone who's witnessed this circus 100 times. To her, this wasn't personal. It was about exposing the hypocrisy of a man who demands total privacy while waging constant public vendettas. But to Harry, it was painfully personal. Angela wasn't just critiquing his legal strategy, she was challenging his honesty, his integrity, and worst of all, his credibility as a son still wrestling with the ghosts of his royal past. As the dust settled, one thing became chillingly clear. Angela Levin had outmaneuvered him completely. She said just enough to ignite a firestorm, but never enough to be legally vulnerable. She got the headlines, she commanded the attention, and she left Harry standing in the ashes, holding nothing but his fury. And if you thought he was furious before, brace yourself. Insiders say Harry is quietly plotting his next move, and it's not going to be subtle. What began as a single television bombshell has erupted into a full-blown media hurricane, with Harry trapped squarely in the eye of the storm, dazed, rattled, scrambling for control. Levin's revelation hadn't merely embarrassed him, it shattered the carefully polished mythos he'd been selling to the world. And once those cracks appeared, the vultures swooped. Newspapers and tabloids on both sides of the Atlantic scrambled for exclusives about Harry's so-called hidden lawsuit. Former palace aides were pulled out of retirement to give cryptic interviews detailing his litigious streak. Old disputes resurfaced, plastered across front pages, painting him as a man obsessed with vengeance rather than justice. And Angela wasn't backing down. She became the ringleader of the story, appearing in interview after interview with that infuriatingly composed tone, as if casually reporting the weather while detonating Harry's reputation. Every time Harry's team issued vague denials, Angela would pop up the next morning, calm as ever, saying things like, "Well, if it isn't true, they could simply publish the legal documents to prove me wrong." That was a masterstroke. Harry could never release those documents. Doing so would confirm their existence. With each passing hour, Angela grew more credible, while Harry looked like a guilty man scrambling to hide something that everyone could already sense. Behind the scenes, Meghan was reportedly in full-blown crisis mode. A Montecito neighbour told the press that she had been calling PR consultants non-stop, screaming about the optics. She allegedly said, "We cannot let her destroy the brand like this. Harry looks unhinged. The brand looks unhinged." Brand became the word on everyone's lips. This wasn't just legal drama anymore. It was about the Sussex Empire, a carefully curated kingdom built on victimhood, selective transparency, and self-righteousness. If Levin's narrative stuck, that empire could crumble like a stale biscuit. Even Netflix executives, normally discreet and detached, were said to be quietly monitoring the situation. Translation: they were worried about millions invested in a couple whose credibility might be collapsing in real time. One anonymous insider allegedly said, "No one wants to be associated with a ticking time bomb." And Harry? He was spiraling. Sources claim he became obsessed with identifying who leaked details of the alleged lawsuit to Levan. Some say he demanded staff hand over phones for forensic checks. One former aide told a tabloid, "He's paranoid. He thinks everyone is betraying him. He won't trust anyone right now." The irony was sharp. While Harry hunted for a mole, the real damage was happening in plain sight. Levin had shifted the narrative so effectively that even neutral commentators began mocking him. One political columnist wrote, "Harry once accused the royal family of operating like a secretive institution, and now he appears to be doing the very same thing. Perhaps monarchy isn't just in the blood. It's in the behaviour." That line went viral, spreading across memes, TikToks, and late-night monologues. Within days, the internet was laughing at Harry's hypocrisy. And for someone so obsessed with image, ridicule is far worse than hatred. Hatred can be framed as jealousy, but ridicule is fatal. Things reached a fever pitch when Angela made her boldest move yet, appearing on live radio and hinting that if the courts ruled against Harry in his secret lawsuit, fallout could include revelations about his children's titles and their legal standing. That single sentence set off alarms at nuclear levels. It dragged Archie and Lilibet straight into the scandal, a line previously considered untouchable. Within minutes, headlines screamed, "Angela Levin hints children could be affected by Harry's lawsuit." And it didn't matter that she was speculating. The damage was done. Meghan reportedly lost it. Sources say she threw her phone across the room and demanded their lawyers end Levin's coverage immediately. There were discussions of filing a defamation suit against Levin, but the legal team warned that doing so would open a Pandora's box. Any court action could force Levin's claims to be examined in open court, essentially transforming speculation into sworn evidence. It was checkmate. Angela had manoeuvred them into a corner, and the only way out risked even more exposure. At this point, the royal family's silence became deafening. No statements, no denials, nothing. And that silence said more than words ever could. It signalled that for once the palace wasn't coming to Harry's rescue. William and Charles reportedly told aides they wouldn't intervene. One palace source chillingly added, "He made this mess. Let him clean it up." That stung, because for all his defiance, Harry still seems to crave the royal safety net, and now it was gone. Meanwhile, the public turned brutal. Comment sections overflowed with remarks like, "He left the royals to escape drama, and now he's drowning in it. Angela has him shaking in his boots." Even some once loyal fans quietly unfollowed him. Influencers who had championed his causes posted vague accountability quotes. Everyone knew were about him. It was the slow social death of Prince Harry, live and in real time. And while Meghan tried to contain the fire with PR spin, Harry did what he always does when cornered. He lashed out. He allegedly instructed lawyers to go nuclear, threatening multiple outlets for amplifying falsehoods. But the problem, every threat only reinforced the perception that something was being hidden. It has become a running joke. If Harry sues, he's guilty. That is the nightmare he now lives in. Levin didn't just spill a secret. She poisoned the well. No matter what Harry says, people assume it's damage control. He could produce sworn affidavits proving Levin wrong, and whispers would persist that it was all forged. In the court of public opinion, perception is reality. And Angela just rewrote Harry's reality. The most chilling part, insiders say she's not even done. A GB news producer hinted off camera that she holds even more explosive information about Harry's behind-the-scenes battles, and she's simply deciding when to release it. For Harry, this could be just the beginning of the end. What began as a casual on-air revelation has grown claws, shredding his carefully curated image day by day. He isn't just losing the PR battle, he's publicly combusting. Those closest to him say this meltdown is unlike anything they've ever seen. A Montecito insider revealed that Harry had become a man possessed, pacing the mansion at 3 a.m., firing furious emails to his legal team, demanding 24/7 crisis meetings. He allegedly screamed at staffers for not flagging headlines fast enough, barking that every minute something stays up. She wins, and that Angela wasn't just Angela anymore. It was a strategic assault he couldn't escape. The royal chaos hit a whole new level when Angela Levin pulled off something no one had ever managed before. She made the world laugh at Prince Harry. Suddenly, the rebellious, tragic prince persona was gone. Instead, he had become a punchline. Talk show hosts joked that Harry's lawyers were working harder than the crown jewels, while memes had him cowering under tables, hiding from the very storm he'd tried to control. People weren't just gossiping. They were mocking, dissecting, and turning him into a living meme. Every public appearance he made suddenly felt like fuel for the joke. Every time Angela appeared on TV, the humiliation escalated. Meghan, who normally thrives amid media chaos, reportedly panicked. Sources said she was furious that Angela had dragged their children into the narrative, warning Harry, "This isn't just about you anymore. If she damages their titles, it's over." But Harry didn't hear caution. He heard a gauntlet thrown. And so, in the most spectacularly ill-advised move, he went nuclear. Harry's team quietly began drafting what they called a reputation lawsuit, aimed not only at Angela Levin, but at multiple outlets that had reported her claims. This wasn't a targeted strike. It was scorched earth. Injunctions, damages, retractions, the full legal arsenal. The irony was brutal. In his desperate attempt to prove Angela wrong, he was about to prove her right. Filing such a sweeping lawsuit meant disclosing private documents, internal communications, contracts, financial records, and legal paperwork that could finally confirm the secret lawsuit Angela had referenced. Advisors warned him repeatedly, this was a trap. One whispered, "If this goes to court, everything comes out." Everything. Harry ignored all warnings. He wanted revenge, not reason. Legal threat letters went out, and the press exploded. Headlines screamed, "Prince Harry declares war on Angela Levin. Legal Armageddon. Harry plans to silence his critics." Social media erupted instantly, mocking him as thin-skinned, arrogant, and chronically unable to read the room. Even Hollywood, usually silent on royal chaos, quietly distanced itself. One studio executive reportedly said, "We don't do business with live grenades." The worst blow came from Britain. Buckingham Palace, which had remained coldly silent, let it be known through palace insiders that Harry would receive no institutional support. He was on his own. For someone who always leaned on the monarchy's shadow, even while publicly scornful, that was crushing. Witnesses described him as crumbling. He allegedly told a friend, "They've all abandoned me, and they're letting Angela destroy us." But what Harry failed to see was that Angela wasn't destroying him. He was destroying himself. Every furious legal threat reinforced public suspicions that he was hiding something catastrophic. Each outburst fueled the story. Every attempt to suppress it gave it more life. Angela, meanwhile, mastered the calm, truth-teller persona. Sweet, almost grandmotherly, she delivered her lines with the precision of a surgeon. "I don't say things lightly," she told a broadcaster, "and I only reveal what I can back up." That single sentence detonated across social media like a live grenade. People debated what she could actually prove. The narrative flipped again. It wasn't about whether she was lying, but when she would reveal her proof. Then Parliament sniffed around. MPs began asking whether royal titles could be legally revoked if heirs had been granted them under misrepresented circumstances. The implications were clear. They were circling Archie and Lilibet. Harry's personal war had become a constitutional nightmare. Commentators openly debated the scenario. If Angela's claims proved accurate, the monarchy could face a succession crisis. And through it all, Harry raged. He vowed to never forgive Angela and to drag her name through the mud. But the cruel twist, he had already lost. While he flailed, Angela only grew stronger. Her book sales skyrocketed, social media following exploded, and she became the planet's most in-demand royal commentator, commanding prime-time interviews and six-figure deals. She thrived on his chaos. Harry was left with scorched earth, alienated allies, an imploding reputation, and a legal war he couldn't win without exposing his own secrets. It was poetic collapse. Someone who once had everything now standing in the ruins of his own making. But the nightmare wasn't over. Just as Harry prepared to file his lawsuit, Angela hinted she might release the very documents he had desperately tried to hide. If she did, it wouldn't just destroy his reputation, it could erase his family's place in the monarchy forever. Angela's revelations had done more than tarnish an image. They cracked open a vault. Harry's past legal victories now looked like desperate smokescreens, diversions meant to distract from deeper, messier issues beneath the polished PR surface. The world was finally piecing the puzzle together. Harry's carefully crafted image as a wounded hero was collapsing like a castle on quicksand. In Montecito, sources whispered he went radio silent, barricading himself in his office, pacing like a caged animal for days. Meghan reportedly urged him to counterattack. A statement, a defamation claim, anything. Even she seemed rattled. This wasn't just bad press. It was a credibility apocalypse. No statement could erase the visual of Angela holding those damning documents on live TV, smiling like she had dropped a royal nuke. Buckingham Palace's silence spoke volumes. Insiders said King Charles privately told courtiers he was relieved. The truth had finally surfaced, validating years of quiet palace suspicion about Harry's legal crusades. One aide described the mood behind palace walls as cautiously celebratory, with senior royals quietly toasting the spectacle across the Atlantic. William reportedly privately remarked, "Harry built a bonfire of lawsuits and then doused himself in petrol. Brutal." The British media pounced with precision. Headlines screamed, "Royal hypocrisy exposed and Levan lowers the boom." Even previously sympathetic outlets shifted gears, portraying Harry as a cautionary tale, the prince who flew too close to the legal sun and got scorched. Social media piled on with sarcastic hashtags like #SueMeghan, trending as users mocked the couple's notorious litigious streak. For Harry, it was the perfect storm. legal humiliation, public backlash, and a family quietly enjoying his downfall. Angela had done what no tabloid, Netflix doc, or Palace leak had managed. She shattered the illusion. As the dust settled, one thing became painfully clear. The once golden prince was now standing alone, exposed and eerily silent. And here's the kicker. Angela hinted she wasn't done. To extend it further, the final moments of her broadcast weren't just a tease. They were a calculated declaration of dominance. She leaned in, calm and composed, and reminded viewers that the story wasn't just about scandal, it was about truth. Every pause, every measured word made viewers hold their breath, wondering what explosive reveal was coming next. Analysts speculated endlessly about the hidden files she referenced, while social media erupted with wild theories and viral posts. Harry's legal threats became background noise. Angela's whispers of proof turned into headlines, memes, and GIFs that travelled faster than any press release he could command. The impact rippled far beyond entertainment shows. Parliamentary aides reportedly started informal inquiries. Legal scholars debated potential succession implications, and journalists worldwide scrambled to connect the dots. Former palace aides were contacted, asked for insight, and suddenly, even distant historical precedents for royal litigation were resurfacing in news articles. Harry's every move was under a microscope, magnified, analysed, and mocked in real time. Meanwhile, Meghan, typically the strategist, was reportedly on edge. Sources said she repeatedly warned Harry to calm down, emphasising that his public rage only amplified Angela's narrative. But Harry, consumed by fury and desperation, ignored all caution. He doubled down on legal threats, demanded frantic crisis meetings, and allegedly even interrogated staff about potential leaks, convinced that someone close had betrayed him. Yet, the irony remained. All the damage was happening in plain sight. Angela had shifted the narrative so completely that neutral commentators began openly mocking him. A viral line from one political columnist perfectly captured it. Harry once accused the royal family of secrecy. Now he practices it with equal zeal. Perhaps monarchy isn't just in the blood, it's in the behaviour. That line went global, appearing in memes, TikToks, and late-night monologues, solidifying Harry's transformation from tragic hero to the object of ridicule. Angela Levin had rewritten the rules. She wasn't just reporting, she was commanding the story, controlling the narrative, and using Harry's own instincts, rage, secrecy, desperation, against him. And the most chilling part, insiders say she hinted she has even more explosive information about Harry's behind-the-scenes battles, just waiting for the right moment to release it. That meant, for Harry, this might only be the beginning of the end. His public meltdown was unfolding in real time, and there was nothing he could do to stop the next wave. Angela Levin had outsmarted him at every turn, and in the final moments of that jaw-dropping broadcast, she smiled directly into the camera and said, "And this is just the beginning." With that, the world knew the war of reputations had only just begun. Like, comment, and subscribe.